So for those of you who are interested, let's talk some details about this activation, because sometimes it helps when an activator explains why they made the choices they did, and you can learn something from that. This was my first time at Elmodel Wildlife Management Area, and it was easily found from the road. There was great signage. There's also a little kiosk area and like a little parking lot when you pull into the park. So if that's somewhere that you wanted to pull into and activate from, you certainly could. I've learned the hard way not to set up next to the road, because oftentimes if it's a busy road, when you're listening to CW, even though I wear like earbuds, you still get a lot of road noise, and that can be a distraction. So at this particular park, I drove in a little ways and found a place that I could pull over and set up. I chose the Cheligans MC750 for this activation because it needed to be a quick activation, as I was headed from Savannah, Georgia, my home QTH, to Kolomoki Mounds State Park, which is where Daisy and I would camp the next several days. I had yet to set up my campsite, so I really needed to get this park in the bag and then move on to Kolomoki. Let's see. I chose the Cheligans MC750 not only because it would be quicker for the activation, although I can get an end-fed random wire up fairly quickly. Also, I didn't plan on changing bands. I knew I couldn't stay here very long, so I figured we'll get on 20 meters. 20 meters will probably hit a lot of states and get my activators and my hunters and get this done. And that's exactly what happened. I set up on 20 meters and I had 11 contacts within a little over 20 minutes, which is really good. I was very happy with the propagation from this antenna. And if you look at the QSO map, you'll see I got down into Florida, out west into Texas and Nebraska, and up north all the way to Maine. So talk about a great spread on 20 meters. Would I go back to this park? Yes, I would go back to this park. Again, it was easy to spot. Some of these parks, the signage is not the greatest, and it's kind of around the corner of some foliage, but this one was well marked, and it was easy to find a place for me to pull over and set up. I had the park to myself. Didn't see another person there, which is one of the things I like about wildlife management areas. And, you know, it was an easy place from which to activate, especially with cell service. If you're interested in activating wildlife management areas in the state of Georgia, because you either live in Georgia or in a state neighboring, check out the video that I have below. In that video, I talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of activating in WMAs in the state of Georgia. I'm finding overall that that's becoming my preference. If I can find a WMA, I typically will head to one of those for the reasons that you'll see in the video. And as I go to more of these, I'm learning which ones have cell service and which ones don't, which can make a difference in how well your activation goes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll have more coming out soon from my trip down to Southwest Georgia. In the meantime, get on the air and keep having fun with CW.